Hi, I'm Brittney Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it. Happy Monday. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're already on Monday. Can you believe that, Lindsay?
I can't believe we're already starting to head towards our last week of October.
I know. I was just talking with a client about overall, how's it already almost Christmas time? But I'm ready for it, though. I've been kind of mentally preparing. I kind of wanted Christmas in August. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I saw somebody post that the other day. They're like, okay, Halloween parties are done. Like for Canadians, Thanksgiving is done, this and that. Like, I'm now just waiting to put up my tree. Yeah. And it inspired me. I think I'm going to put my tree up in November. Like, I think I'm going to go mid-November at the latest. And I'm just going to do it because I'm ready. Also, it's been a really busy year. And I'm kind of ready for like a break. Like, no more work.
It's been a busy / crazy / all the things. In our last episode, Addie and I talked about just like economic hard times, election, all the great things. But before we dig in more, for anyone just tuning in, welcome to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. I'm your host, Brittney Ashley, and we're broadcasting live on UFO Paranormal Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And I'm so excited to have Lindsay back again.
Yes.
Let's do a quick bio, but then you can tell more about yourself.
Okay.
Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector, is an entrepreneurship nerd with over 20 years of experience teaching newbie entrepreneurs how to get customers and make money with their signature ick-free sales system. Lindsay's simple, straightforward approach to business development takes the guesswork and overwhelm out of selling so you can grow faster with less busy work and a whole lot more fun, which is true we need in our lives when we're building a business. And then we can just segue back into what we were just saying.
Right? Well, do you know what I just remember too? I don't know. I feel like I've been in the land of technical difficulties this past couple of weeks. Like, I feel like if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And I'm remembering back to the first time we recorded. And do you remember how your camera wasn't working? And it was like me just talking to your picture.
Just a black just now you can see me.
I'm like, this is so exciting.
I know. I'm really excited that we actually, and then I didn't even know like what was working because I could tell it was glitchy. So here's to technology finally working today. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
All the things, but it was also felt like very last minute too. Like I sent you the link last minute. I just published the show. Like I don't, like I was just saying, like, I don't know where the time has flown and all the things, but I do know I'm really excited for our topic today.
Heck yeah.
One of the topics that I know that was coming up a lot in some of the conversations, not just for you, but what I've heard along the way is that building a business shouldn't be so hard. What is your kind of instinct gut when someone says that?
So, fake news. Like, this just in, building a business is hard. It's an interesting. This idea of something being hard is a really interesting conversational point, like a really interesting thought experiment, I guess, because what does hard mean? How do we define hard? Hard is so relative, right? And so when folks say building a business shouldn't be hard, well, what do you mean by hard? I think that's the first question I would love for us to dive into. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Well, I always like to say Rome wasn't built in a day, like that whole saying. And I know there's so many people that it in a way, it's kind of like a nice shiny object. And when you're in a 9 to 5, you're like, oh, I can see so-and-so over here that looks like they have it all on social media. But really, you don't know what it takes behind the scenes. And there's some people who can really just jump right in because they do maybe have that wealth behind them that can start all these things.
There's a podcast, I think it was a podcast that we were talking about. I can't quite remember the names of it. How they just kind of break down more or less that selling a course or selling technology. Stay with us. See, I jinxed it.
No.
It does take a lot of work. It's not just like a model to build a business isn't the same for everyone. It's going to be unique for everyone. Yeah. For me personally, I'm a mom of 2 young kids. And so it's kind of like a stop, go like project in a way. Some things I can't get done right away and I have to move to the side because the kids and family come first. And so it's kind of, I know you and I have talked about this in the past, but I've worked with multiple coaches. By the way, Lindsay's my coach that will never get rid of me. They would always be like, this is your model. Stick with it. And you'll be successful. You'll land those 10K. You'll land those, and it's just like, it hits so wrong for me. See, even now today, like we're seeing advertisements on a lot of people saying that you're going to hit your, come work with me and I promise you those 10K months. And it's just like, it takes time.
Yeah. Well, and so I mean, you brought up a couple of really interesting, again, perspectives on what is hard. And just as a side note, building a business is hard. Having babies is so much harder. Like I would choose all the rigmarole of building a business over like that is hard, right? So like this idea of what is hard work, right?
Yeah.
There's multiple elements of things that are hard in building a business. Putting ourselves out there is hard, right? Being vulnerable is hard. Trusting our gut to do our own thing, even when someone tells us you'll never be successful unless you do it this way. That is hard, right? Getting up and pushing through and working even when you're tired is hard. Working a job, like a day job, having kids and starting a business on the side is hard. Like, do you know what I mean? Like being patient and holding on to your vision and doing it even when things aren't working until you get to where you want to go is hard. Managing disappointment is hard. Managing rejection is hard. Managing imposter syndrome. Like they're like these things are hard. What was that?
I just said so many, all of it is hard.
Yeah, exactly. And so like when somebody says building a business isn't hard work or shouldn't be hard work or shouldn't feel hard, based on what? It is, building a business is absolutely going to be hard work. And it's also going to be tiring work. You're going to be tired. You're going to be exhausted, right? It also takes a long time. You're going to have to put in the time and the patience, right? And so I think this idea of hard work is not the same as burnout, right? Hard work is not the same as busy work. And so I think that when we look at hard work, there's a difference between volume of work, right? Doing the right activities versus the wrong activities. And like really making peace with the fact that building a business is hard and building a large, thriving, scaling business is hard. And so if folks want to be an entrepreneur, you really need to make peace with the fact that it's going to be hard and you're going to be tired. And if anyone is trying to sell you a quick, fix scheme that, give me $10,000 and I'll show you how to do it. No, that's not the way it works. Building a business is hard work. And I think we need to not be afraid of hard work.
Yes, 100%. I like to get, like, when I'm laser focused on something, like, yes, I have ADHD, like self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I have to do all the things. But when I'm laser focused on knowing that this is what I want to do in life, and I never want to go back to 9 to 5, I'm like, I know it's going to be hard work, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to never go back to 9 to 5. You and I were just talking before the call, like it's kind of been stagnant on my end. And this is kind of what Addie and I were just talking about in the last episode. Like with economic times, it's just been hard, especially around the election time. I find everyone's just kind of just stressed on another level. And so as I was just saying, I did all the new website myself and was all excited for a new launch. And I grabbed the wrong link to put it on the website and realized that I didn't take the right embed form, which I would normally catch, but because I'm doing it all by myself, that one piece missed, and we got a few leads, and they end up going with somebody else because I didn't respond in a timely manner. And I was like, usually I would, but I thought this whole time that everything in the back end was running, not knowing that I was missing some of those things. And like the hard piece for me was just kind of like, you live and learn with that. Like, I can't sit there and dwell. Like, that's like a crappy feeling that somebody went somewhere else. But at the end of the day, like, if it's going to work out, they'll come back if the other piece didn't work, and that I'll just have to fix. Luckily, no one knows about the website being up right now.
Well, and that's such a great example of like, okay, so what is the lesson? For me, the lesson would be have somebody go through my funnel to make sure it works.
Yeah.
Right. Have somebody else, because usually when we are logged into our own systems and processes, things will look like they're working, but for somebody else, they won't. Right.
Yeah.
And this is, again, if we talk about hard work, if you want to make things less hard, lean on your networks, lean on your communities, ask for help, right? You don't have to pay. That's not something, this is a conversation I've been having a lot with friends, with clients, with community members, this idea of friendship, right? And how in our world today, friendship is starting to become this transactional thing, and people don't, how do I say this? We have been conditioned to see friendship as a burden, and that we must protect our peace. And, there's things like, don't get an Uber, save a friendship, right? Like, don't ask for a ride to the airport, get an Uber, save a friendship. And that, because of this whole TaskRabbit and Uber and like the gig economy, and we're paying for people to help us move furniture or drive us to the airport, we have forgot that's why we build our villages. That's why we build our communities, to lean on each other, to help each other, to take each other to the airport, to help us move a shelf. And so we see that even in business, we see that happen, where it's like, we talk a lot, right? I talk a lot about networking and why you need to network with 4 different types of people, but one of those types of people needs to be biz besties, because your biz bestie will go through your funnel for you to make sure it works. And no, you don't have to pay them. Yeah. And so that's what happens, is this hard work is amplified because we're not building within community, within village. We're not leaning on each other. And we view anything as, I somehow have to pay you. After all, I would pay somebody on, I'd pay a VA to do this. So shouldn't I pay you? And it's like, no, you don't have to pay each other to help each other. Right.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's like, I caught it, that the form wasn't right, because I was like, this isn't right. Something's not right here. And then I went backwards and was like, what? And I called Addie and I was like, what is going on? And she's at her actual 9 to 5. And they like quickly like paused what they were doing. Is like, Brett, you grabbed the wrong embed code. I was like,
right? Yeah.
Oh my.
That second set of eyes, same thing. I'll even do things like, if I'm playing with new messaging or a new product name or something, I'll send it out to a few of my friends that I know understand my market. They understand marketing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get advice from people that aren't in the right space. Yeah. But I'll be like, how does this land for you? What do you think? What am I missing? And then they'll maybe say something back. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Thank you. And there is no expectation that we should pay each other. Right. And that's something that happens the longer you're in business and the more established your business bestie relationships become, the more you will notice that, like somebody will sometimes say to me, do you work with a business coach? Well, no. I mean, I did when I started my business 10 years ago, but I don't now. Now I have my own peer network. And we work with each other. We have calls, we check in, we test things with each other, we push each other, we challenge each other if we're got our heads up our behinds, right? And so, in the beginning, having business coaches, having consultants, like I'm not a business coach as much as a business strategist, but like, yes, you pay people who have expertise that you are wanting to leverage, but things like actual just business friendship, like you need to develop those and establish those and let those build and lean on them.
Yeah. And it takes time. Like it's taken me, been doing this. It's crazy. I actually, like when I was mapping out the website, I had to like count my fingers. I'm like, oh, it has been 6 years.
Yeah. Congratulations on that. How does that feel?
it's been a whirlwind because I've been growing my business alongside with my kids. So I feel like I've just kind of hit the ground running, and it's already been 6 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It goes fast. Like, that's like, I'm coming up to 11 years in December. 11 years. And it's like, right? Like, I look back to where I've had some complete pivots and rebrands, and like, I've changed markets. So much. And even now I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes because I'm going to be coming out next year with another evolution of my business. And, throughout that, what we've gone through a global pandemic, I've gone through some pretty intense trauma. I've gone through a couple of cross-country moves. Like, it's like, when we build our businesses, especially the service-based solopreneur, like lifestyle type business, right? Where it's generally just you doing something, right? Yeah. It is built in parallel with our lives, not outside of our lives. And so that it is going to do like this, because like you said, there's things in life that take over and the business has to take a back seat. And that's very normal.
Mm-hmm. I have a question on, if for anyone thinking that a business shouldn't be hard, how would you challenge them if they came to you being like, well, my business shouldn't be this hard to do?
I would ask them to define hard. I'm like, what does hard mean? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? And that's what I mean. Like, we say these things, like, what relative to what? Mm-hmm. What is hard work? Because for some people, the hard work is the energetic toll it takes on them, because maybe they're more introverted or neurodiverse or have mental illness, and the energetic toll is too much. And so they perceive that it's hard work. Mm-hmm. For other people, that's not an issue, but they get really confused on what it is that they're selling and how to sell it, and they're learning business skills, and that's hard work. For other people, they're a mom of 2 young kids and they have a full-time job and they're building this on the side, and this is hard work, right? So I think you have to define what hard work means to you, and then you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. Is hard work a bad thing? I guess the first thing, is it bad that I'm doing something that's hard? And then the other question is my vision for my business and my life worth the hard work?
I love that. Because I think too, like, if you look at entrepreneurs who've been doing this now for X amount of years, to the ones who, because I've seen it from that scale, to the ones who just start within 1 or 2 years and they're just like, nope, I'm done. And for me, I'm like, why are you giving up? Like, I'm like, why? What else can we do? Like, I'm like their cheerleader. I'm like, what else can we do here? I'm like, I just want to go back to 9 to 5. I'm like, but why?
Yeah. Well, and for some people they do, right? Like I've had, oh my gosh. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, right? Like, because not only my own business, but I was already doing this before because I grew up in entrepreneurial spaces and working around other entrepreneurial people. And, I see so many people start a business and then give up. And that's their prerogative. I'm never going to judge that. Building a business is hard. And not everybody wants it. And where I see that a lot is specifically around business development, right? Yeah. Because a lot of folks, especially again in the service-based, or even in product-based, you view yourself as practitioner. You view yourself as visionary, right? You view yourself as the person who brings the ideas and delivers the magic. But that's not building a business. That's just working. Building a business is the business development. It is the networking. It is the marketing. It is the connecting. It is the speaking. It is the putting yourself out there. It is having sales calls, right? Like that's the business development side of things. That's the business. The other stuff is just working. You could get a job doing that and it would be the same thing. And so that's where a lot of people think. They think, well, I'll just translate from having a job to having a job of being my own boss. But you don't understand that your boss was the one doing business development and now that's on you. And so that is a shock, and there's no way to mitigate that shock. Like nobody can be prepared for that. It's like being a mom. Like, people can tell you it's hard. They can tell you whatever. It does not matter until you actually do that thing. I should say, sorry, being a parent, right? That is the reality versus what you think it's going to be. And it's a similar thing in business, right? Like, we can tell you these things, but until you do it, it's going to be a shock. But that's what we have to come to. I need to define hard work. What's wrong with hard work? And is my vision and my dream for my life and my business bigger than my discomfort right now?
I love that. I think I told you I'm doing a course called Trauma with Money. We're in class 5 now. And it's been like such a journey, because it's not even just been a journey about self-discovery even more, like this show has been for me, but just about business as well, and how much trauma I had. Like, I'm scared of Revenue Canada. And it's, why are you scared of that? And so right now we're going through like, what is the childhood past, or what are certain things that came up for you? And I'm like piecemealing things together, because my accountant's like, I'm my accountant's best friend, because I keep all my books in order. I keep all the things to order. But the thing is, because I'm like triggered that something's going to happen for Revenue Canada, and I can't let that happen. So I need to make sure all the things are in order.
Yeah.
And to me, like, that's my hard piece in my business. Everything else, I'm like, this is great. Love it.
Yes. And Revenue Canada, like, here's the trick for Revenue Canada. Don't ignore their emails and messages and letters. That's it. That's it. Just don't ignore them. If you ignore them, they're going to come at you. Just don't ignore them.
And the taxes, pay them.
Yeah, but even if you don't pay your taxes, don't ignore them. When they email you to say, hey, you got to pay your taxes, great, respond, email them, call them. Yeah. Just don't ignore them. But yes, also pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people are years behind in taxes?
Yes.
It's just stay in communication, right?
And I was just going to say, that's why I think I was going into Money with Trauma a little bit more, to understand just like the side of the business coaching, and how I can kind of go through maybe some different kind of exercises there as well. But going to just, let's segue into building confidence in business as an entrepreneur, because I feel that, sorry, I'm just reading the little message there. I just feel that we as business owners, confidence can show up in so many different ways. And that we should just dive into that more.
Let's do it
for you.
Let's talk about the confidence piece. Yeah, like, because I mean, okay, again, this is my thing, right? Like, I'm a word person. Okay. So I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does confidence mean? What does lack of confidence mean? What is imposter syndrome? Like, what do these words even mean? Right? Because I could say something and you could say something, and we could be saying the same words, but meaning something totally different. Right. So when I think about confidence in as an entrepreneur, right, that doesn't mean that you know everything and you do everything perfectly and you have it all together. It just, to me, stems more from, I have confidence in my ability to figure things out.
Yes.
Right. Do you have confidence in your ability to figure things out? Do you have confidence in your knowledge of what you know and what you're good at? Right. Do you have confidence in, your networks and the people on your side, in your corner, right? Like, how would you define confidence?
For me, because I'm such a soft-spoken, quiet person, it's showing up confidently. I guess it's like confidently behind my words, and then also to confidently being able to show up and speak in front of people. Like, I'm an introvert extrovert. I would say when I'm at like a party, I'm probably a little bit more of an extrovert. But when I'm networking, I'm like, kind of go back and forth between the two. Yeah. But once I feel like my flow, I'm a lot more confident and being like kind of working the room. But since COVID, I've definitely seen myself more in the introvert stage. It's taken me like so much like pulling. I love the virtual stage. I'm great over here. But in person, it's just been like, I've noticed my confidence kind of shift where it's even more back into the quiet state and kind of head down. And I even, as myself, like asking myself as curious questions, what I do for coaching is, why are you navigating that way? Or what's holding you back here? Or why are you doing X, Y, and Z? And so I've been trying to like change my mindset a little bit there.
Yeah. Do you have an answer for yourself?
I think it's the part of overwhelm and anxiety gets kind of mushed in together when I'm in like I already have like a lot of anxiety. And if I don't know where things are, like I'm really weird for this, but I need to always know where the bathroom is.
That's not weird. That's yeah, I get that. Well, and I think that's from what I hear and read, that's pretty universal, that since the pandemic, people have become more introverted and more anxious and like have forgotten how to interact and socialize. Obviously to varying degrees for each person, it's going to be different. Some people it's really impacted, and some of them it's just like getting back on the horse and remembering, like riding a bike. But yeah, like I find myself the same. Like it took me I'll say maybe 3 or 4 or 5 events to really find my groove again. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forget how to go to events and socialize. I forget what to talk about. I forget how to network, right? Like it like, because we get out of the habit, and for a lot of people, we are still feeling the impact of the pandemic and that extreme anxiety and stress that everybody was under. And so many folks are uncovering their neurodiversity right now because we all, of course, had our routines. And for a lot of us, our coping mechanisms stripped from us. And so we're kind of out here floundering going, I don't remember how to be a human anymore. How did I used to do this? Right.
Yes.
And also our like capacity, our endurance also dropped off. And so we have to build up our capacity, we have to build up our endurance. We have to remember how to socialize. But all these things are things that can improve, right? And this is where we come into okay, so what is confidence? Do I have confidence that I remember how to do this and I'll get it back? Or am I going to sit in the anxiety and self-doubt? And this is where I get really, really stubborn, and I refuse to not be good at things. And so if I am not good, I will try again and try again and try again and try again. If it's something that's important to me, if it's something I don't really care about, I won't. But it's like, okay, well, you were awkward and really like, what were you even talking about? What were you even saying? That wasn't your best foot forward. Okay, great. What did we learn? What will I do different? Let's try again next time.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. I went to an event not too long ago, but I have like, sometimes like, if I read a room or meet somebody that I just start getting like weird anxiety on, it kind of like kills the mood in a way. And then the anxiety picks up and I'm like, I don't want to be here. And so there was one event where I just ended up leaving early because I'm just like, I can just feel like it's weird tension, like it just didn't seem in alignment. And I guess that's kind of being mindful of where your values are and who you want to interconnect, like we're just talking about, and making sure we're building up those great connections, because you shouldn't force yourself to be in an environment that you feel uncomfortable in.
100%. Yeah. That's why I say, like, if I go and I'm feeling uncomfortable and awkward, if I don't want it, like if it's not my cup of tea, like I was at a networking event, and it was a lot more like lawyers and mortgage brokers and financial advisors. And like, that is not my cup of tea at all. Like, those aren't my clients. Those aren't my referral partners. Those aren't where I'm doing public speaking. Like, it's not my space professionally. And so I went to this event to support a friend who was one of the co-hosts I went with another friend and we went to support it, but we were both creatives and we're both in that room and we're just like, this is so, and like the things they're talking about, I'm like, what? Oh, that's interesting. Like, oh my God. And so in that case, I still like when I'm in a room that I go to network for professionally, and I realize that these are not my people even close, I just pivot into, okay, great. Let's just make some friends. Let's just connect with people and see if we can have some fun conversations here. Yeah. But I'm not going to worry about networking from a professional perspective because it's not my world even remotely, right? Yes. And then if I were to get invited back again, I would just simply say, no, thank you. And so you can still salvage it and make it fun. We're people. We can interact and talk to other people, but it's just taking this pressure off to be like, oh, I have to make something happen for my business, and also taking off any like feelings of regret. Like, it's just like, it's okay. We went, we tried, not our cup of tea. It doesn't have to mean anything. We can just leave and not go again.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, I feel like I'm still, like I was saying, overcoming the anxiety of things a little bit. Like, I'm getting a lot better. Like my rule of thumb would be go into a network event and make 10 connections. But then I've been finding myself like, oh, I made one friend and I'm just going to stay in this little bubble and not move anywhere.
Yeah. Don't recommend that.
Yeah.
Because do you know why? Because you're there to work, right? And so like a really great thing to do with that is get in there, like talk to this friend, get your bearings, right? Bring the anxiety down and then move about the room together.
Yes.
Right.
I love
but
that.
yeah, because you have to think about that. When you're at a networking event, you're there to work. And so I can go for coffee with my friends. I can hop on a call with my business friends, right? That's not what I'm there for. I'm there to make new connections, to make some cool things happen.
True. And you never know who you're going to meet and what connections can happen from it. I do, like I mentioned, I like more of the virtual end of everything. So like lately, if right now I feel a bit uncomfortable in the in-person, I'm like, what other virtual ones can I just show up in and be me over there? Because I'm still trying to move past that extra anxiety and all the other things in between that's holding me back. But not to say there's certain events that I love to go to because I feel popular.
I love those when you walk in a room and everyone's like, Brittney, right? Like, come on.
I'm like, oh, hi.
I'll start the show. I remember I was at an event once. It was like a pitch thing. And I don't know, somebody, I didn't know them, saw me and came running up yelling my name and like jumped into my arms to hug me, like almost took me down. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but hello. And I don't recommend that, by the way. But it was just this like moment of like, you know, when you've been, if you're somebody who is a leader in your industry, in your profession, you're creating like things like this, you're creating content, you're bringing things to the world besides just your work, but you've got a platform. People are watching, people are learning, people are being inspired, right? And so, when you go to a room and someone comes running up that you don't know to hug you and just be like, you're amazing. I learned so much. I've done this so much because of you. Like it is, oh God, it's such a great feeling.
Yeah. Well, when we did the panel over in Vancouver, some now I can't remember their name and I feel really bad, but they're like, oh, you're from the island. And I was like, oh. It's just like taken back. And I'm like, well, now I feel really popular.
Right? That was, I forget what was happening. And I don't remember if it was there or something else. And I had people come to me and say, I drove all the way out from Langley to come see you. And that was the first time someone had said that to me. And there was a whole gaggle of people that had done that. Like, yeah, we saw you here. So we came all the way up from Langley to come be here for this. I was like, for me? Right? And I mean, again, let's tie that back to confidence, right? Like, is that something that I set out to do? Like, oh, I'm going to do this thing so people will drive from other cities to come. Like, no, right? I'm just showing up as me and talking about things that are important to me and, you know, being in my vibe, right? But again, like when you are confident in who you are and what you have to talk about, what is it like the vibe? Oh, I don't want to say that phrase, but like your vibe attracts your community. You know what I mean? Like if you just show up as you in your confidence of what you know and who you are, people will resonate and will find you and come and connect with you.
100%. That's why I like doing a lot more speaking along that way and showing up more as a thought leader within the VA OBM industry, because I really want to educate others. I was actually just having this conversation with a client and they just shared their story on how they found me and understood like the VA OBM industry. And they made a mention of something. I was like, you just made me think of another way to pitch myself to this company, to show up, to do speaking, to be in front of interior designers, because I'm just sometimes so segmented in like sometimes one area, because we do work with a lot of real estate agents, all of the ones, but sometimes if I'm just hyper focused, I forget about the sea of everything else. And so having those conversations and asking questions helps you kind of break away a little bit than what you're used to, so you can pivot too.
Yeah. Well, it's the curiosity, right? Like so okay, how we're talking about networking for a second and how we're going to tie this in, because what you just said, right? Like Another way that business is perceived as hard is because of the networking that is required.
Yeah.
And this is something that I am, you know this, I am harping on y'all all the time. Build your networks, build your networks, build your networks. And I think when new entrepreneurs hear that, what they hear is go to some boring, stuffy event and sell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're saying is this is get yourself out there into different communities and organizations and start building relationships, because that's what will drive business, drive referrals, open doors, get you on stages, get you introductions, right? And so it is the most important activity in your business, way more than content marketing, way more than social media, way more, you know what I mean? Way more than anything else. It is networking. And so that is hard work. It takes energy, right?
Yeah.
It takes effort. It takes putting yourself out there. And so a lot of times folks will, I'm going to speak in a really direct way right now. People will use things like their neurodiversity or mental health as an excuse. And they won't do things. They won't network. They won't put themselves out there, and they use it as an excuse. And if I could give people a reframe around that, is stop using yourself as an excuse not to do something, and instead give yourself the space you need to both take care of your mental health and do the networking. So if that means going to smaller events, if that means taking some time off the next day, if that means going for a shorter amount of time, right? If that means like only doing online, nothing in person. But when people use it as an excuse and then just stop in like dead in the water, they don't even try, they don't figure out a way to make it work for them.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now that you are probably not going to make it. Right now. And the reason for that is because everything that comes to us comes from the people we know.
Yes.
When someone comes to me and says, Lindsay, who do you know who can come speak to us about this? It's going to be the people I've networked with and who I know. If I don't know you exist, if people don't know you exist, you're not going to go anywhere. Right. And so that is a really hard pill for people to swallow. But I'm speaking in a really direct way right now because that is how serious it is. Like, that's how it's a big deal.
I just met somebody from the States, and they're also creating, like, they're going into like the connection base, and they're creating kind of like a referral partner list that you and I talked about 2 weeks ago. And what she's doing is making everybody kind of like meet once a month. So this is her referral list, but you can meet everybody else that's within the people that she's met along the way if you want to meet and get to know them more and add them to your list or not. Like, it's really an open kind of conversation. And then she had like dedicated email updates on anybody new that comes into the referral or anything like that. I was like, oh, I kind of like that. And it's just kind of, you can start your own and start asking more questions of where you can find these people. Sometimes in Facebook, this network, how I found this person was because we're in a networking group called Entrepreneurship. It's worldwide. So from people from Australia to the States to Canada as a mix. But yeah, going back to kind of like the confidence there, like it comes with learning too, like pushing yourself. Like, like sale calls. I'm like, oh, that didn't go too much because Brittney, you talk too much.
Well, exactly, right? And that's the confidence. Okay, the confidence is not in knocking out of the park every time. The confidence comes from going, well, that didn't go the way I thought it would. Let me try that one again. That's where the confidence comes from, right? Like, it's the confidence in yourself that you can learn, the confidence in yourself that you can improve, the confidence in self that, you know what I mean? Like, that's where that comes from. And so, that's another thing, right? Like, we talk about rejection sensitivity. Is it dysphoria, disorder? Anyways, having rejection sensitivity, oh my goodness, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, right? Like Yeah, that's a thing. But are you going to let that stop you? And that's the, like, you know, for folks here that are, especially that are watching, I want you to picture me shaking you by the shoulders and being like, are you going to let that stop you from your dreams? Really? Or are you going to learn to manage it?
Yes.
Right?
It's true though, because like even too, like I've seen myself shift, like I was saying. And so how can I manage this to bring down my anxiety a little bit lower?
Yeah.
What will help me to prepare if I'm feeling uncomfortable? What can I, like, maybe go 5 minutes early and just look around, find the bathroom or whatever the situation is, just trying to map out maybe something to just bring that state down a little bit. And that confidence for me that it usually is there. Like I remember the first time I went to one of the chamber event, I met somebody and they're like, what do you do? And I was like, bam, bam, like all the things. And I remember Mike being like, oh, that's a lot of information. And my brain's like, oh, that was too much information. But then the thing is, he remembers me.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what you say. It's the energy you show up with, right? But like it's funny because I feel like I need to just let folks know who don't know me. Like I am anxious all the time. Like I am neurodiverse. I have all these things that I'm talking about. Like I am not sitting here saying, oh, I don't deal with it. When I go to an event, I get there. I try to be one of the first of like I try to get there right at start time before it's too wild and busy and everyone's kicking off, right? And the first thing I do is go to the washroom. And I take a breath and I center myself and I visualize what I'm going to say and talk about and how I'm going to approach the evening, right? It's the first thing I do. And then I go and I look for people that I already know, right? And then I go talk to them and get myself warmed up, right? And then I'll go meet new people. And then when I need a break, because when you have anxiety, it can build and build and build, right? And so I take a break, I go to the bathroom, I go outside, I check my phone, I take a break, I bring myself back down, and then I come back in. And that's what I'm saying is exactly what you were saying, which is figure out a system and routine that honors your needs, but still gets the job done. Do you know what's so funny, Brittney? I'm always like, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to just, go for like 30 minutes and I can leave if I'm not having a good time. Okay. And so then I'm like, all right, this is actually going really well. I'm having a good time. All right. So now I can feel myself starting to get a little bit tired when I start to get mentally overstimulated and not overstimulated, but like my brain battery drops because it has been overstimulating. I notice because I lose my words. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. I start saying the wrong word. I start stuttering. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm done. I need to go. And I say, okay, it's time to go. Go find the host and say goodbye. I'm almost always the last to leave. Because there's just something about giving myself the permission that something clicks in my head and I start to relax again. And so it's like we have these things. Gosh darn it, don't let it stop you.
Yeah, I think it's all about building out your boundaries and really understanding where you are too. Yeah. So then when you do show up, when it's just too much and you need to kind of take a step back or like you're saying, go outside. I kind of like I mentioned, like I kind of usually would show up and like be the first one there and the last one gone. That was my logic. And then get all the cards. And I was really good at that. But like I mentioned, like after COVID, it's kind of gone backwards.
Yeah.
And I'm just still like, now I'm like, okay, so what did I do before?
Yeah.
Not like I didn't have anxiety prior, but I think I just at the end of it, would show up 5 minutes early and get to know or reconnect, because a lot of people I already know at the networking event who are putting it on.
Yeah.
So then I just show up, then that's kind of like my step in, and then everybody slowly trickles in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I always think of this example and I lean on it a lot for myself, right? When I was learning how to swim properly for triathlon, And I used to have a lot of anxiety because I always have anxiety. Everything has anxiety in what I do. And so swimming like freestyle, so head underwater, 3 strokes breath, right?
Mhm.
I would get a lot of anxiety of having my head under the water that much. And so I would make a deal with myself. I'd say, so you can swim one length freestyle, and then you could swim back the other length breaststroke. So that's coming up every breath.
Yeah.
And it helped me. And then I'm like, okay, you've done that a few times. You're feeling good. Now can you do a full lap freestyle? And then you can do one length breaststroke, right?
Yeah.
And so I built up my own endurance to the point that I can now just go in and just start freestyling and I'm fine, right?
Mhm.
I'm good. And that's such a great example of I'm not forcing myself to
Mhm.
be in a perpetual state of anxiety.
Mhm.
I am finding a way to expand my window of tolerance around anxiety, to just
Mhm.
push it a little bit, be where I'm comfortable, push it a little bit, be where I'm comfortable until I get to that space where I'm kind of in my perfect zone, right?
Yes.
And so anything that you do, if it's going on a date, if it's talking to someone on the DMs, if it's going to a networking event, if it's going for a swim, right? If you're like, maybe I remember when I went to Australia
Mhm.
for a month and a half by myself. I just went in there and I'm like, let me just go, and I need an adventure. This was 2022. I was sick of being trapped in my house for 2 years. Let's do this thing. So I get there and I am always perpetually overwhelmed and in a state of anxiety. That's my baseline. And so I thought, okay, day one, your only job is to unpack your stuff, go down to the lobby, work on your computer a little bit, and just order some Uber Eats. That's it. That's your only job. Okay.
Mhm.
And then day two, your only job, you found a 7-Eleven, is to walk to 7-Eleven and buy a bus pass. And then maybe stop at a restaurant on the way back to grab some food and come back. And that's your only job. Right.
Yeah.
And so like I would just expand my window of tolerance. So after 4 days, I was good. I was hopping on and off the streetcar. I was navigating. I was going to the botanical gardens. I was booking a tour to hop on a bus tour up to go see the baby little penguins. But I just didn't throw myself into it and just start from day one. I gave myself permission to ease in.
Mhm.
And that's what we're saying. Don't not do something because there's some stuff going on for you. Ease in.
Ease in. It's so true. Sometimes I push myself a little bit. Like when I went to Vancouver, like I was, let's do it, Brett. Let's go public speaking for the first time and not really do. Let's take a tiny little plane to Vancouver.
You did. At least we had that nice lunch beforehand, so hopefully that helped like bring you down, right? Like, cause yeah, like the plane ride and that was a whole thing, and right, yeah.
Lost downtown Vancouver, like one thing after another.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were going the wrong direction, and I was like, "Where are you? Like, let me try to find you." But guess what? You survived.
I survived.
We had a great panel, and you have a funny story to share now, right?
Yes, and it's all about. It's good to like push yourself
Yeah.
too. And that's like I wouldn't now I can say like I've spoke in front of like 4 different audiences, one in Vancouver, which is a great platform that I was able to attend, and then other events too. And I was able to build my portfolio for speaking events.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it, like you just said, like you can do hard things. Friends, we can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
We can do hard things. And I believe that challenging ourselves to do hard things is a form of self-care.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like if you're stuck kind of always in a bubble, we're scared to take those risks. And to be an entrepreneur, you need to take risks.
Yeah.
You need to constantly shift. You need to constantly be on the momentum of what else can I do? I don't like this. Let's go over here. If you look at, was it Sears? They never changed any of their marketing because they're like magazines. That's always going to be the thing. I'm never going to do X, Y, and Z. And now look, they don't even exist.
Yeah. Do you know what this reminds me of is Kodak film, right? Oh, yeah. So there's a really great podcast. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It was something like Business Disasters, or I don't know. It was something like that. Yeah. I forget the name of it. It was really good, and they shared this story, and it was this giant in the camera industry, right?
Mhm.
And they were the ones that actually developed the technology for digital photos, digital cameras. They developed it. But of course, for them, they knew that the money back in the day was not in the camera, it was in the film. And so their whole business model was selling film, right? Cameras at a reasonable rate, but then the film, right? But they developed this technology. This technology went out. People are developing digital cameras, and they were like, no, it's a fad. It's a fad. It's a fad. And they didn't jump on it, and they died, right? They are gone. And so exactly, like it's this adaptability. It's a responsiveness and adaptability, right? There's one thing I can guarantee you in your entrepreneurial journey, it's that every few years it's going to change. Things change, marketing trends change, technology changes, you're changing, right? Your market's changing. And so, like you said, the more that we build a bubble around us, it just gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and we just get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the world is moving around you. And so your world is going to get so tiny. Right. And that's like, if you're somebody who's uncomfortable with change, and a lot of people are, you need to embrace change. You need to learn how to manage your ish in change, because that's the only constant, is that things are going to change.
100%. One of my old professors, that's the one thing that he said that he would always talked about in our, I can't remember. It wasn't econ. Oh my goodness. It's one of those. Anyway, that we all like here, specifically in Victoria anyways, or Vancouver Island, we really like to live on the island life and not kind of change when everybody else is around us changing. I always stuck out to me, because I was like, huh. And after that, I started watching the news like religiously. The 5 to 6, like learning all the things to kind of like educate my mind of not just what's happening here, but around the world. And have a different appreciation, and also learn too and move with the movement too. But yeah, confidence is a lot of work, hard work. Do you have any last kind of tips for anybody who's just wanting to, I'm just looking at the time. It's already an hour. Last tips before, maybe if somebody's just like, I want to do my business, but the one thing that's holding me back is maybe like the sales piece, because I know that comes up a bit.
You have to learn how to sell. So right off the bat, make peace with that. You have to learn how to sell. If you don't know how to sell, you have to learn how to sell. But here's what's great. You can sell in a way that feels really good and values aligned for you. This is why I teach sales, and I teach consent-based ethical selling, right? And I teach folks to understand that in the world of sales, you have to shift your mindset from thinking it's about convincing people into an active customer service. People are looking for you right now that want what you've got. And your job is to find those people, not convince the world, right? Go find the people who are looking for you, right? And then have a conversation, invite them into a conversation. You're looking for this. We do this. Is this a match? Let's talk about it. Right. So I would say that number one, embrace that you have to get good at sales. Number two, I would say, understand that it's a process. You're going to develop your own sales personality, your own sales style. And number three, stop trying to convince the world and start looking for the people who are looking for you.
You don't have to necessarily sell so hard when somebody's just, they're like, I get you, or seen you across. There's so many people that I've come across through networking, and they just come to me because they're like, oh, I've talked to you, and it's just, that's that.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on sales as an individual who's been doing this for 6 years. And back in the day, I worked at tourism centers, and the whole thing was sell, 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 sell. My manager at the time was like, you're a horrible salesperson. And you know what? It's always at the top of my mind, but for me, I'm like, no, I'm not a bad salesperson. I just need to figure out my groove and how I show up.
Yes.
And so changing your mindset on that, even though maybe somebody has said that you're bad at sales, figuring out how you want to show up.
Yeah. Yes. And I see that on the ticker tape there. I've got my scripts. Yes. So that if you go to the website, theradicalconnector.com/scripts, you're going to get my ick-free sales scripts. And this is, I share 20 different sales scenarios, and there's, I think, a total of 45 different conversation starters. It all starts with questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we think about selling, it's also remembering we're not just selling our goods and services, we're selling our ideas, we're selling ourselves, right? And so, yeah, grab the scripts if you're really struggling with sales, or you maybe are great at sales, but you want to explore ways to bring in a consent-based perspective, grab the scripts. And I also, once you get in there, you're going to get tons of bonus resources. I share some sales videos that I've made, understanding how to do a sales call with a sales call template. So pop in there. I have been teaching sales forever. I developed my own consent-based sales strategy in my 20s. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I'm really passionate about how we sell using consent.
And I can do all the raving I can for Lindsay because it's a great script. And really, if you're struggling there, highly recommend going to the link below. Any of our listeners, it's theradicalconnectors.com/scripts. And please come join us because we have such a great community over there.
Yes. Yeah, you can come join us on Facebook. I go live on YouTube multiple times a month. I'm doing Q&As. I'm bringing on guest speakers. Like, we do a lot. So come and join us on YouTube as well. That's definitely where I am shifting to be my most active and present with folks. Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, again for coming on.
Yes.
Worked again. We can see each other.
Yay. I love it.
And thank you for everyone for tuning in to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. Next week is a special guest. Again, just need to confirm if they are coming on, so I don't want to say who's coming, just in case. But again, thank you to all our listeners, United Public Radio Network. Until then, we can't wait to see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.